5 of our 12-week series of REI 101 and have a really special treat for you guys. I have Aaron Chapman here, one of our preferred lenders for investors, and he's here to talk to us about the BRRRR strategy. And we're talking about B with 4 R's, and we're going to get into what that means, who it's for, and who it isn't for. So first of all, thank you, Aaron, so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, by the way.
Thank you.
Not only an author, not only a lender, but an author, and we'll get more into that.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
And a whole bunch of other stuff. But thank you so much for coming in to talk to us about what you're passionate about in the lending industry and how maybe you can help a few of us with the BRRRR strategy.
That's such a weird acronym they came up with that, right? And one, I appreciate you asking me, because it means a lot that people trust me enough to put one in recorded live stream sometimes,
right?
And then also it's a little bit of risk. You're putting a guy that looks like this to talk about real estate investment finance.
Hey,
so
if you
I've got to
me,
bring.
There's no better person.
I've got to bring a little bit better game so the people who just looked at this, she goes, okay, she said special treat. I don't even know what this is, and I've never been introduced as a treat, so this is going to be good. Let's make it good.
Yes.
So birthing, I think we got to define it first.
Yes.
So what is that? What is that defined down as?
Okay, so BRRRR, from what I know and understand, it's buy, right?
Yep.
You renovate.
Yep.
You buy, renovate, you rent, and refinance, and repeat.
And repeat. That's exactly it. So yes, we got to look at the notes. I've got to remember that sometimes. And so one of the things that I've noticed when people talk about the buy, rehab, rent, renovate, refinance, and repeat is I believe the rent and the refinance thing are backwards.
Okay.
I think a person needs to actually start the refinance and be very, very deep into that before you rent it out.
Well, because when you buy it, you're purchasing typically on
hard money.
Hard money or private lending, right? On private capital.
Unless you're using your own capital. And there's a way to treat your own capital like private capital, and we'll get into that here in a little bit.
But private lending has higher interest rates.
Yep.
And something that you want to hurry up and probably refinance.
Heavy terms. But the main reason I get into that is because when you're buying this property, it's usually in a very, very distressed position.
Okay.
Then you're also putting a ton of time and energy into it to get it up to a much better level, right? You want to bring the curb appeal up, you want to make the functionality there. But you want to get an appraisal on that property at its best.
Okay.
The problem with renting the property out, and am I free to just speak the way I speak? Okay, so I want to make sure that nobody's going to take offense to my words here,
because
sometimes my brain doesn't catch my mouth.
Nope.
So when you're talking about renting something out, and especially in the places I work, I do a lot of business in the South and in the Midwest. And when you rent that out, people are not kind about how they move in. To me, I picture these people just trying to shove in this big crate full of shit. They pull a pin and they leave, and it just blows up all over the house. Then you send your appraiser in. What you have is a person that is now appraising a mess. I would much rather have my renovation crews go out there, put all the time and energy in, clean it up, do the lawn, spit polish it, and then let me know a week before it's going to be complete. And that way I'm sending my appraiser in there from my team immediately when it's done. The day after everything's done, tools cleaned up, the whole works.
I hope you guys are taking notes, because I certainly need to.
And too often people wait, right? They want to get the appraiser out there early. So I've had a lot of times in my career, it's not been early in my career, I've been doing this since '97. But in the BRRRR strategy, when that started coming out in a big way, people are saying, send the appraiser now, and they can just come back and re-inspect it and verify all the work is done. Well, now you're expecting their appraiser to use his imagination. I'm sorry, their imaginations suck. I would rather them see it when it's complete, in its best condition, pre-tear up from the renter moving in. So what I tell everybody, you close on a BRRRR, whether you use hard money or private capital or use your own money, you want to start the refinance the day after you close. So that means you want to call your lender, and if you call anybody but me, I'm going to question your decision-making skills. But you want to call them and get your pre-qualification or pre-approval done. We do a very, very deep pre-approval. I get a lot of complaints, I used to, from clients saying, why do you want all that stuff for a pre-qual? Because I will never send a letter out or put you in an obligation that I can't reasonably guarantee that we're going to close. So you make sure that they have an exit strategy, then they go into the BRRRR purchase, go into the rehab on this. As soon as, during the renovation portion of it, we're already processing the loan, because the day after they close, we start. So as soon as we hear we're within completion, we're already sending the appraiser to communicate with the contractor to make sure that they are meeting up the day after completion. So that way you're going to get the best possible valuation. It's important to have the best possible valuation. That's the best way that can ensure you get the most money back out of it so you can repeat the process. You can't get to the end R if you can't repeat it. Then you get it rented out. Now, you can already have a tenant queued up for it. That's a good thing to have the tenant queued up for, especially when we're dealing with the...
That was one of my questions. We want a tenant queued up for that, right? But we don't want them moved in until...
You would want to have it, but doesn't mean you have to have it.
Okay, got
There's a prevailing thought process out there that you need a renter to qualify for the loan.
Well, DSCR.
Well, DSCR also has provisions if you know what you're doing. So I'm the executive vice president of investment lending for North American Finance out of Las Vegas. Okay. This company was the first to do internal DSCR in all of Nevada. And we have probably the largest platform of DSCR lenders to go to. So you don't have to have an actual renter to qualify for DSCR. Okay. If you just finish renovations, I will then have the appraiser do a rental income survey and tell us what the average rents are, and we'll use that as your DSCR foundation.
Got it.
So as long as you're buying a property that will rent for more than what your payment is, I can close that deal. And you have decent credit score and you have the money to close the deal, right? But for the most part, it's a business purpose loan. So I highly encourage people, when you buy this, you buy it with your LLC. If you don't have one now, you form. If you haven't formed one, we need to talk. Yes. I have a law firm. I can connect things up to do things do things nationally, and they have a one-time flat retainer that you pay, and you never pay them again for formation. But we'll get into that in a whole other conversation. I
think that's another week, actually.
That's an entire week in that one. In fact, I can even bring the attorneys here.
There you go.
Right? We can have a big old gathering.
Yes.
So you set up with your LLC. Two ways. You have hard money. So hard money lender will then send the money to the title company to close and do typically the first draw. And then they'll send inspectors out there to do the remaining draws. I encourage you, as the owner of the home, to get an inspection on the home before you close on the BRRRR purchase. Some people say, why would I inspect the property? We know it needs to be rehabbed. You want a third party to tell you what needs to be done, not just your contractor, not just the person selling you the BRRRR. Because there's a lot of people that sell BRRRRs as a package. But you want to be able to analyze that from a third party who's not interested in the deal. You want to compare that to the scope of work, and you want to absolutely make sure that they match up. If they don't, you're going to find out why. And then you can negotiate that. Then once you close, you want to send an inspector at every single stage of draw to make sure that everything they said was done is truly done. Then at that point, when you go to close, you have their final inspection, then you send the appraiser out, and everything is done the way you anticipated. Once it's closed up and you're refinanced, you really don't have a whole lot of recourse. And honestly, it's kind of hard to have recourse once you own the property anyway. So you got to be cautious as you're going into it. I've seen a lot of people buy BRRRRs using a third party that sells them the house and promises all the rehab, but things don't go the way they're supposed to because, one, there wasn't a lot of work done up front to ensure you're dealing with the right people. And secondly, you own the home at that point. So having control of the money when it comes to the construction is key. You may end up closing on a house for, say, $50,000. In fact, we're actually looking at one right now. You're closing at one for $90,000, need $70,000 in renovation, and it'd be worth $200,000. Well, if you closed at $90,000 and you gave your contractor $70,000 at closing into renovation, and he never showed up, you're $160,000 deep, and you didn't move the needle at all on that house. And I doubt the house was even worth $90,000. So now you're stuck. But if you closed at $90,000 and you retained the $70,000 and you distribute that at intervals as it was inspected, you're protecting yourself. And if for some reason they don't start, you still have the $70,000 to pay somebody else to renovate. Now, you might run a risk that they underbid it, that you have to find somebody else, but you still have plenty of equity in it to deal with that. Those are lessons you learn as you're doing this business. So
important lessons,
extremely important lessons.
Because who wants to be 90,000 in and discover that it needs a lot more work if you didn't get your inspection done,
initial
inspection, and then obviously there are bad apples out there. So if you trust somebody with everything up front, you pay everything up front, and nothing gets done, then that could potentially be a huge loss. One that people would probably not want to go into real estate investing for, I imagine, right?
100%. So the difficulty I have is when I'm working with a client, I don't care. This is going to sound bad at first. I don't care about your first deal. I don't care about your second deal. I don't care about your fourth deal. I care about your 12th deal. Because to get to deal number 12, I got to have a really good experience for you on 1, 2, 5, 7, 9. before you get to 12. And if one sucks, you're not getting to 2, much less 12. So
Right.
we got to do everything we can to give you the tools. I can't force you to do these things.
Yeah.
Even though I tell people over and over and over,
Right.
get these inspections and they choose not to, guess what they want to do? They still want to come back to me and blame me for stuff like you didn't do as you were told. Right? You trusted that guy because he had a nice, sweet
Right.
southern sound to his voice, so he's got to not take advantage of you. Those some bitches can get you just as much as somebody with a fast speech and
Right.
selling used cars.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we've got your inspections down, got that figured out, but there's different ways you go about the acquisition of it, right? We talked about the hard money. Once you close on that, God, the juice is running at that point. You've got that, the points you pay up front plus the 12% that you might be paying per month. Just know you've got to have a really good tight schedule, otherwise that goes to an overrun. I would also look at these hard money loans and decide, do I want a 6-month or a 1 year? I would go for the 1 year agreement, never the 6-month agreement. The problem with the 6-month agreement is they always have cooked in there 2-3 points for a renewal if you go over 6 months. And we're trying to control contractors. I'm dealing with a lot of them right now. They're going over. It's not because they want to. It's because things happen in their life. They're humans too. We have one guy that had 2 personal issues happen in succession that slowed down his ability to manage subs. Don't ask me why, but it did. As a result of that, it took what was promised to be a 6-week, 8 at worst case scenario, it went to 22 weeks. This happens all the time. It's also happening in the South. What just happened in the South in the last month? Everything was shut down for the weather. Now it extended out another 2 weeks. There's a lot of things you can't control. So I highly advise never go with the 6-month, always go with the 1 year. Just know you're gonna be paying 1% per month, but always have a provision that whenever you pay it off, you're out. That there is no, you're not signing, you'll ride the whole 12 months. So those are all little things to keep in mind to protect yourself.
Yeah.
The other thing is when we come in as far as the lender is concerned, we as the DSCR lender, since you paid cash for this property, you own this property, and you have a lien against the property from the hard money lender, I can get you 80% loan to value up to the payoff of the lien. So literally you can get 100% of that money back if you bought a property at the right price with the right renovations and it have the right ARV. We pay off that lender, he's gone, you literally got a house for free. The only thing you pay is and you don't have to even pay the closing costs on the loan because those can be added into it if there's enough value in the house. So understand how you're setting these things up. There's a lot of people say, well, I'm gonna pay cash, so I'll pay cash at closing. Well, if you're gonna pay cash at closing, there's 2 ways to go about that. You can do it in a conventional loan, which some people have, my so-called Fannie Freddie golden tickets. Those aren't golden, guys. They're not that great. When I can get you a DSCR loan for the same or lower interest rate, let's do that.
Yeah.
Now, the drawback is everybody's like, well, with Fannie and Freddie, I don't have a prepay, but with DSCR, I do. Who cares? If you're buying an investment property and you're planning on holding it, but you're going to do something like a refinance or maybe a sale or something in 5 years, you're buying the wrong damn property. Let's just be honest about that. And it's something like this. If you can buy a $90,000 house and you put $70,000 renovation into it, you're 160 grand deep. And if it's worth 200, you're already at 80% loan to value. So if you did that with a hard money lender, we pay them off, you come in with, let's say $7,000 in costs, that's all you're in the deal. You're less than 4% in total investment in this transaction. Less than 4%. Wow. That's with all your costs and everything. You own a $200,000 asset that's performing, that's newly reconstructed for less than 4%. Let's look at that from a retail purchase scenario. Retail purchase is $200,000. To get to the exact same spot, you put 20% down, which is $40,000. Now you have to have $7,000 in cost. You're 47 grand deep versus 7 grand. Take a look at that. How do those return as far as an investment is concerned? Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to go right back to the money piece of it, right? Yeah. So if you're trying to do a conventional loan, you're going to come in with your $90,000 to close. You go to title, you close. Pioneer Title here in Scottsdale, right? You're going to go to Pioneer Title. You're going to close with $90,000. Now you got your $70,000 to pay your contractor. Just like Aaron said, I watched the webinar. I watched the training.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that. If you get the renovation done within, let's say, 6 months and you come to do a refinance, you haven't owned the property long enough to get the full $160,000 out. We can only give you what you paid for it at closing, which is $90,000. Your 70 grand is in the wind right now. Or you can wait till you season it long enough to do a cash out. That's a problem. So what you do then is you close with the full $160,000 at Pioneer Title. You bring all $160,000 to title. But you're thinking right now, Aaron just said I don't do that. Here's what you do. 90,000 goes to pay the seller, go away, you own the property. 70,000 stays in what's called a repair escrow. That is an absolute necessity, repair escrow. It has to read that way. Fannie and Freddie don't recognize anything but repair escrow. So that goes in there, and then title holds that. And when title holds that money, then they will distribute the draws as you say they distribute the draws. Now you have to work that out with your escrow officer. And I don't know if the escrow officer says, hey, I'm just gonna give you the money, I wouldn't wanna hold it. We don't know if they give it back, we don't audit that. We only audit the fact that you closed with 160. Now I can show that you closed with 160,000. So when we get done with the rehab, I come in to do the 200,000, do the appraisal, comes in at 200. You closed with 160, I can get you the full 160 back. Now you financed 100% of your acquisition, you only pay your costs. Now let's say you're gonna pay cash, but you're using your LLC. This is even sexier. I like this more. So you go in, you buy it with your LLC. The LLC closes. Let's say it's Arizona BRRRR LLC. So you got Arizona BRRRR LLC closes on this house. You've got cash to pay cash, right? You got the 160 in hand. You don't give it to the LLC. The LLC goes to close, but you send the money to title, only 90,000 to title from yourself. So if it's Jessica, Jessica's gonna send that, and it's gonna be from Jessica, and now there's a promissory note and a deed of trust. The Arizona BRRRR LLC owes Jessica that money back. Now there's a note, a deed of trust created by title, and it clouds your title. Now there's a lien against the property. And now you can distribute your 70,000 in draws, just like we talked about. You have a $160,000 lien on the property. When we come to do the refinance, I'm doing a rate and term refinance with a DSCR to your LLC to pay you back, to pay Jessica back. She gets all her money back.
I love that.
If you don't properly structure, you can completely obliterate the whole situation. So you don't have to remember a dang thing I just said. You don't have to take notes on this.
You just have to
you
call
Aaron.
Just call
I walk you through every single step.
We'll put his contact and website information down in the description below, Aaron. So don't worry about that. But you know, this right here is my complete love language.
I know, it's freaking sexy, right?
I mean, you're speaking, I'm salivating, I think, a little bit. But I want to get into that because this. Let's just be clear here. This is a way to accelerate expanding your portfolio. And
beyond accelerate, you can take the same $160,000, guys, and you can just keep adding your portfolio and keep putting the money back.
How quick is the repeat process? Like, how quick can I repeat?
As soon as we refinance, you go buy another one. There's no, you can literally, if you have enough cash, if you can do 3 of these, let's say you had 160, I don't even want to do the math. Say, let's round it to 200. You had 600 grand you want to go to put to work, you can have 3 running at the same time. I personally wouldn't do it that way because it's a nightmare to manage all that shit. But ultimately, you can run as fast as you want.
Can you imagine one contractor trying to manage running one contractor?
I don't want to have to. These guys drive me insane. They really do. Right now, I have a few personal hard money loans out. I'm managing that kind of crap. I've got my regular transactions. I'm the VVP of this.
Goodness.
I've got multiple different companies. I'm on a tour with the book. All these different things, right? All this stuff going on, and it's maddening. Yeah. So you want to be able to know what your capability is to be able to manage this stuff. But let me talk real quick towards something else on this. So we talked about the value on this, right? Yeah. You've got a property, you paid 90,000, you put 70,000 in renovation costs, it's worth 200. Where's the real value come in investment real estate? Where do you think people make the most money?
The tax write-offs, right? The tax incentives.
Tax benefits. You guys are probably going to say cash on cash return. It's got to be in your cap rates and stuff. Yeah. Guys, it's in having financed. It's in the loan.
It's in the loan.
It's the loan makes you the most money.
That's the whole point, right? That's the process. Those are the nuances.
You bought the house for free, right? Yeah. So where you make your money. Let's take a regular $200,000 transaction. We're going to do math together. If you need to get your calculator, grab that thing.
Okay.
So buying a house for $200,000. You're putting 20% down. How much is that?
$20,000.
Times 2.
Times
so
$40,000.
$40,000. So $40,000. You're in on this deal. Okay. So then let's say at 5,000 a cost. You're 45 deep, right? Actually, let's round up. Let's make it 10,000 just so it's easier for us to do math. Now you're 50,000 in. But you got an 80% loan. So what's 80% of 200 for your loan amount? I know you're like Chapman, why are you doing this to me? 160,000. So your bank put up 160,000. You put up 50 between down payment of 40,000 and then 10,000 in closing costs, right? So now we're in this thing. So most people say, okay, so what's my payment going to be and what's my rent going to be, and that's where my profit's at. It's like, no, if you did your job as the CEO of your real estate investment company, and you have it reasonably rented the entire time you own it, and you're able to raise the rents, and it appreciates, who pays off the mortgage?
Lender.
The tenants.
Tenants. Well, yeah, the tenants every
the
month.
renter.
Every
month
every
they're paying
month.
you, right?
Okay, yeah.
So over 30 years, the tenant is paying off this $160,000 loan.
Right.
So if you take the 160, divide it by 30, that's how many years we're talking about here. That's the equivalent, and I'm not going to make you do this math, to $5,333.34. You guys can do the math if you want. Take 160,000 divided by 30, you'll find it's $5,333.33.
Love it.
That is equivalent. You divide that into the $50,000 investment because that's your investment. You invested 50 grand into this.
Yeah.
You divide that into that, you're going to find that is 10.6%. Your tenant is giving you 10.6% return on investment because they're paying off your mortgage.
Right.
Where else are you getting
That's
that?
the magic
Where are you
of
getting
that.
that repeatedly?
No.
You're not, right? Right now, gold and silver's kicked ass for me.
Right.
Believe me. I'm doing well on some things, but that is not sustainable. It's not regular. It's irregular. This is happening no matter what you want. It just does. Now let's get into the appreciation of the property, right? The property, let's say it's only appreciating 2.5% per year. That's not sexy. Do you get excited about 2.5%? No. You guys on this are not getting excited about 2.5%. Let's say it's only making you $100 a month cash flow. Is that making you happy?
No.
$200,000 asset, $50,000 invested, is only making $100 a month cash flow. That sucks, right? And it's only, let's say you can only raise the rents by $3 or 3%. Sorry, 3% of 1,800. That's not sexy either. Nobody wants this deal. Let's continue to break it down. So now you have a property that's appreciating at 2.5. What's 2.5% of 200,000? I know. It's $5 grand. It's $5 grand, guys. It's $5 grand. Do the math. It's $5 grand. I just want to see the look on her face.
I know.
That's really it. Not that it's a defeated look. It's wait till the camera's off, Chapman. That's the look, right? So we're $5 grand. What's $5,000? What percentage of 50,000? Another 10%. So you're 20.6% return on investment just by somebody paying off your loan and your house appreciating a meager 2.5. That is ridiculously sexy, right? So you're right now making 20.6%. That was cool, but let's talk about something else. Now let's go to the BRRRR side of it.
Okay.
You bought the house for 90. You put 70 in rehab. You have 160 deep. You did your deal where you lent yourself the money. We paid you back. Now how much money do you have in it?
Like $7
grand because your closing costs. You're $7 grand deep. So if somebody's amortizing that loan, that's $5,300. What percentage is $5,300 of your $7,000 investment? That's 72%. You're making 72% return per year now instead of 10. Didn't that just get a little bit on the sexy side? Now we're talking about let's knock this appreciation down to 2%, not 2.5, only 2. That's $4,000 a year your house is appreciating in a shitty market, but you only put $7 grand in. That's a 54% return on investment. You're already making 126% on your money every year just by somebody paying your mortgage and just by the house appreciating.
Right.
We're not even getting into the cash flow. See how crazy it is for a person to not see all these things?
And this is just one. This is
just
just one. Imagine having 6.
And can you imagine if some of you got all your money back and you didn't have $7 grand in, right? You
Right.
can't calculate the return. You know, and the other thing that people, I think a big misnomer when it comes to financing for folks is you've got this guy out there, David Ramsey, brilliant sumbitch, right? He knows his audience. He speaks to that audience. He's brilliant. A lot of people say he's dumb. I think he's one of the smartest men in the world. Not because of his philosophies on leverage, but I think it's because of he knows how to speak to a larger audience than what I have. My audience here, we have maybe 100 people are going to be on this, looking at this, that understand real estate investing. He has billions of people listening to him because nobody thinks real estate investing the way that we do. We're a very exclusive group. So let's talk about one of the things he likes to tell you. Pay off your mortgage, pay extra, do the debt snowball, take all your cash flows and pay off your mortgages. Don't do that. What's happening to the US dollar right now with inflation?
It's going down.
A lot. In fact, I saw a thing on Instagram the other day. A guy went to Costco, took pictures of things he was buying in January 2025. Then he does it again in January 2026. You know what the difference in the price was?
30%?
75% average. 75%.
I noticed their cheese has gone up.
And
I mean,
and it's probably not even the best of cheese, right? So
actually it is.
I know some of that Costco brand stuff is actually pretty good. But when you think about that, we get to raise our rents, we get houses go up in value, but we're paying the bank with the same instrument that actually doesn't stretch as far as it did the year before.
Right.
Let's think about that for a second. The US dollar is losing value. It's losing value rapidly, but your bank sets your payment for 30 years. Are you really paying the bank back what you really borrowed? In this example, we have a $160,000 loan. If you do the math on the mortgage, you will find that you're going to pay $402,000 in principal and interest on this loan, right? That's your inner David Ramsey now saying, pay that off, pay that off, pay it off. You borrowed 160, you're paying 402. But is it worth 402? Right here, I always bring this as an illustration. I did this in a live presentation with you. You can take a look at, prove it's real. What is
1888?
It's an 1888 Gold Liberty. It says on the back what's that minted for. It says United States and then something else.
United States of America, $20. In God we trust.
So $20. Is that the same as this $20?
No, it's probably worth more now,
Yeah.
1888.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the weight in the gold alone. What you hold, what I hold is supposedly $20. What do you hold? You hold an ounce of gold.
I'm holding $4,000.
It's about 6,000 right now.
6,000?
So
Are we up to 6,000?
we're 5,000 in the way of the gold. The coin itself is about $6,000 because it's an 1888 coin. So what's interesting about this? Why can't I get this $20 with this $20? Because one's real, one's bullshit. Let's just be honest, right? In 1910, you could walk into a department store and get a hand-tailored suit, a hat, a shirt, a tie, a belt, and a pair of leather shoes or boots for $20. I can't buy these shoes for this $20. Or actually, I can't buy these socks for this $20. Now, they're good socks, right? These are merino wool. They're a nice blend. That's why these things won't even get me that. What's interesting about this is not that the clothing has become more expensive. It's not that really if the gold is more valuable, this is worth that much less. So when you're paying the lender back and you're paying them with this instead of this, or even socks, what you're going to find that you're not giving them 400,000, you give them actually 152,000. You borrowed 160, and at a mere 8% inflation, you're giving them back 152. If you look at the inflation hype there right now, you're probably not even paying back 100,000 now when you think about what's happening to the dollar. Never pay off your mortgage. You can do that with the house you live in just to feel good, sleep well at night. All we're doing is chasing a feeling anyway. Everything we do is for a feeling. We don't do anything for anything but to make us feel a different way. Feel differently about holding a mortgage. Feel like now I'm sticking it to that damn bank who's been sticking to me for years for these fees. Now I'm hanging it to that sumbitch for about 70% per year on what I'm paying them back.
I love it. Yeah. Aaron, I think we're going to have to slow down right there.
Yeah, there's a lot more, but I'm thinking we've been at this.
Yeah, and we're going to put your information down below. You guys, I've been telling you guys now for 5 weeks that real estate investing, you don't need to leverage your own property, right? You don't even need to own a property to get into it. It's a mindset. And
you don't even have to have an income anymore.
Honestly,
with the DSCR loan.
DSCR loan. But the most important thing is finding your people, finding your team, finding the people to work in your corner. And that is why we have the people for you. Aaron, before we head out, I do want to give you a shameless plug on your Redneckconomics.
Be shameful. throw down.
Redneckconomics. I actually really love this book. It gives you a point of view that, from a man's view, you're a man's man. I mean, you go fish shooting in the Ozark, for God's sake.
I've been bear hunting in Alaska twice, moose hunting, all
so
kinds of stuff. I do real hunting too.
Okay, so we'll say you're
This
a
is not just
man,
costume,
right?
guys.
This is not costume. This is the real deal. But in your book, you break it down, and I'm gonna. I think it was chapter 2, the quit jerking off.
You should actually quit.
You bring in spirituality in your book. You talk a lot about not only the process of ass whoopings, right? And how we go through them, and some of your examples that you went through with some of maybe your it's just business, nothing personal story, right? But it breaks things down unconventionally, and that's really what business leaders are. We live unconventional lives, and being able to read a book like this really helps break things down in a sensible way to make us feel like, yeah, it happens, and it makes me feel connected to basically what I'm here to do, my purpose. And I love reading books that help me feel more connected to my purpose. So thank you.
You're very welcome. I appreciate the plug. And this thing, let me just tell you guys, there's over 6 figures tied up in just getting the book out. right? To get it in print took me that long mostly because of the artwork in it.
Yeah, the artwork, by the way.
The artwork is intense.
Yeah, the artwork. Your brother did some of the artwork.
My brother did all the artwork. So it's
all the artwork.
oil
yeah.
painting exterior because my publisher wanted my face on the cover. I didn't. And then everything inside is all watercolor. So and watercolor and gold leaf and silver leaf. He did some amazing work here. It took him 3 years to do all that work.
Well, actually, you showed me the actual pictures of this and how your brother looked at the pictures and basically decided to paint this one. So I just want to say I love it. The pictures actually bring things to life, and it makes me feel that much more connected. If you guys aren't maybe used to it, it has a little bit of a twang to it. But
Yes.
as you know through this conversation, that you're speaking with somebody who really, really is passionate about what he does. So I highly encourage you to pick up this book on Amazon. And
Please do.
Yes.
So there's the ebooks out, the physical book, of course, and then we have the audiobook. I did the audio. And if you guys are familiar with Robert Allen, if you're a real estate investor, you know the name Robert Allen. That guy's the OG of all this stuff. And Dolph DeRoos, he's an international real estate magnate, if you will. And they both are monster in the industry, but also monsters in literature because they both have multiple international bestsellers. One did my forward, one did my afterward, and they both read their forwards and afterwards when I read the book itself. So the audio is amazing. Good. If you do 5-star review, I need to know who you are. If you don't have your full name in there, and I need to know how to get a hold of you, because 85 of these will be signed by all 4 of us, the artist, Dolph, Robert, and myself, and that they'll be very rare. These guys have never collaborated on a book before, even though they've been on stages together throughout the 90s.
I love it.
This is the first collaboration they've ever done. It may be the only collaboration they do because these guys are getting old.
Okay, so if you order a book on Amazon, are you saying that they will get a signed copy?
If you do a 5-star review.
Oh, 5-star review.
And it has to be worthy of. You're doing a 4, I ain't sending you shit. But you also, if it's an honest 4, but I don't think it's an honest 4. Just the artwork alone is 5 stars.
Yeah,
The art was
sure.
amazing.
For sure.
And I know I won't speak to everybody with it, but it comes directly from, like I said, from my heart. And there's a lot of spiritual thought in this because I did dedicate it to God, my Savior Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, and all the people they bring into my world. Because if it wasn't for relationship and experience, I have nothing. Yeah. We leave this world with really 3 things: who we have become in our adversity, and how you overcome them, the relationships you make, and the experiences you have. Outside of that, you take nothing.
I love it. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys, click down below into this description. Be sure you call Aaron Chapman for all of your investment lending needs. Remember, LLCs, trusts, and being sure you expand your portfolio, and also buying this book.
Well, any lending leads, guys, because I can do it all.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you.